The Sturmgeschütz 4 was a German assault gun variant of the Panzer IV tank. It was identical in role and concept to the highly successful Sturmgeschütz 3 assault gun. The history of the Sturmgeschütz 4 begins with a Krupp design drawing in February of 1943. This involved the assembly of a Sturmgeschütz 3 superstructure on a new chassis that was not yet in production. In this design, the hull was provided with a 50 mm thick frontal armor plate that reached up to the gun and was inclined at 56 degrees. The driver was to look through a mirror periscope. In February of 1943, Krupp responded to a request to the German Army High Command stating that changing the Panzer IV to an assault gun would not bring any savings potential, and that switching production to sloped armor during the ongoing production process in the summer of 1943 was not conceivable, as tank production would come to a standstill, which seemed unacceptable. This meant that the development of an assault gun was temporarily terminated. Since 1943, the German army had been increasingly involved in defensive and retreat battles. So the need for assault guns, which were particularly suitable for infantry support and anti-tank defense, had increased more than that for battle tanks. As early as the summer of 1943, Hitler had called for a tank destroyer with reinforced armor protection based on the Panzer IV chassis. This demand led finally to the Jagdpanzer IV tank destroyer. However, the Allied air raids on Berlin in late 1943, which also targeted the Altmärkische Kettenwerke, or the Altmark track works in Berlin, the factory which manufactured the Sturmgeschütz 3, changed this situation. After the attack on the Alket factories, a meeting in December of 1943 proposed compensating for the factory's production losses by quickly assembling existing Sturmgeschütz 3 superstructures on Panzer IV tank chassis. During the meeting, it was discussed that these vehicles could be issued as replacements to tank units that had previously only been equipped with this type of tank. The Panzer workshop companies would thus not be burdened any more than before with the procurement of spare parts and the unchanged maintenance requirements. Conceptually, the tank chassis was adopted, but the shorter superstructure of the Sturmgeschütz 3, which was based on the shorter Panzer III tank, required an adjustment to the driver's seat. An armored bay window with a perpendicular mirror and a hatch opening upwards was constructed for this. The opening to the right of the driver's bay window was closed with a horizontal armor plate. Together with the Jagdpanzer IV, the design was presented and approved at a conference of the Army High Command in the middle of December 1943. After minor modifications, the tank body could be placed on the chassis of the Panzer IV, thus allowing the production of assault guns to be virtually maintained. The main armament of the Sturmgeschütz 4 was the 7.5 cm Sturmkanone, or assault cannon 40 L/48. The L/48 was longer and slightly more powerful than the earlier version. The gun was fitted with an electric firing mechanism, and the breech operated semi-automatically. The Sturmgeschütz 4 assault guns had standard armor side skirts or Schürzen made of 5 to 8 mm thick steel plate, and later screens made of metal mesh wire were applied. These were the so-called Thoma-Schürzen. Vehicles manufactured until the end of September of 1944 had the armors coated with Zimmerit. This was used to produce a hard layer covering the metal armor of the vehicle, providing enough separation that magnetically attached anti-tank mines would fail to stick to the vehicle, despite Germany being the only country to use such magnetic anti-tank mines in numbers. From December of 1943 to May of 1945, Krupp built 1,111 Sturmgeschütz 4 assault guns. In early 1944, Alket built 30 more using the Panzer IV chassis sent from the Nibelungenwerke tank works. While this number is much smaller than the 10,000 plus Sturmgeschütz 3, the Sturmgeschütz 4 supplemented and fought along with the Sturmgeschütz 3 assault guns during 1944 and 1945 when they were most needed. The main task of the assault guns was still to support infantry on the battlefield and destroy enemy tanks during defense. Assault guns were intended for close cooperation with the infantry, suppression of enemy flanking firing points, and destruction of enemy tanks and armored vehicles. However, it is important to note that many Sturmgeschütz 4s were used in tank destroyer companies. For example, in 1944, during the battles in the Courland Pocket, the 184th, 226th, and 912th assault gun brigades distinguished themselves, which were equipped with batteries fully equipped with Sturmgeschütz 4 assault guns. One battery of the 226th Brigade incapacitated more than 35 enemy tanks in 2 days of fighting and lost only one assault gun. A very interesting dozer variant also existed. This was the Sturmgeschütz 4 with Räumschaufel or clearing shovel. In the picture, the vehicle seems to have been painted only in the base color, and the dozer blade appears to be a little darker. The vehicle had no armament and was used to clear rubble from bombed cities in 1944, 45, and even after the war. For me, it seems to be an improvised and not a standardized vehicle. So perhaps some factory managers wanted to create a civilian support vehicle and used a Sturmgeschütz 4 chassis or a vehicle sent to the factory for repairs to clear the debris. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support the channel, check out the PayPal donation link in the description or consider becoming a member. To make sure you don't miss my future work, subscribe to my channel please and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.